Hello art journalists, this is Natalie from NK Design and I'm back with another video. What you see right now is the finished spread in my art journal. As usual, I didn't know what I was going to create. All I knew was that I wanted to create texture and play with layers. Sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy. First, I'm selecting some scrapbook papers to use for collage. These are called French Industrial by Holtz. I love the vintage feel of these papers. I randomly cut some paper squares in various sizes. Now that I have cut all the squares, I'm using a Yoo-hoo glue stick to stick down the squares. There's not much thought as to where I put the paper, and I don't care if there are little gaps here and there. All I want is to create a fun texture. Now this I don't show on the video, but once I glued down all squares, I ended up using some Liquitex matte medium over the top to help stick down the paper properly. After drying, I then used Liquitex Gesso, spreading it with a wet brush because I don't want to cover up the squares completely. I want them still to peek through a little bit. Next up, I'm using Holtz Distress Stain. The color I'm using is called Vintage Photo. After I apply it, I use a baby wipe to wipe most of it off again. I'm not sure if I like it. Let's put some gesso over it. I decide to use Ceram Coat, Burnt Umber, and ew, I don't like that at all, so I quickly wipe it off again. Disaster diverted. Alright. Usually your first idea is best, so I'm back using the distress stain. This time I carefully use the baby wipe to remove some of the stain and leave a border. Yes, now I'm going in the right direction. Loving the distressed stained look. Usually you like to hide imperfections. I'm highlighting them by staining them a darker tone. Hey, it adds character. And I'm going around the border one more time, staining, then dabbing with the baby wipe to get more of a decorative look at the edges. Alright, I feel like adding some stamps now. I grabbed these gorgeous butterflies by Maya Road called Ornate Vintage Butterflies and Sepia Archival ink by Ranger. Due to the difference in height, I know the stamped images won't be perfect, but I like that look. Without too much thought, I stamped some butterflies here and there. However, I roughly checked that the placement looks harmonious. I'm sticking to the butterflies, but this time I'm stenciling. I have no idea who this stencil is by. If you do, please let me know. For the first one, I'm using simply a bit of gesso and stencil it using a makeup sponge. For the second, I'm using Pigment Izink. How do you pronounce it? Izink? It's by a French company called Aladine. It is an acrylic ink with a metallic sheen to it. It comes in all sorts of colors. The one I'm using here is Topaz. Using the same ink and two brushes, I make some splatters on the page and repeat with white acrylic ink by Della Rowney. If you don't want the droplets to mix, make sure you dry in between. for another layer. I grabbed these gorgeous doodled flower stamps, Fancy Florals by Diane Reevely. Love, love, love these stamps. To stamp them I use palette Noir Black. This paper you see is a piece of hand-colored and stamped deli paper. I tried to find something similar to what is used in America, and while this works, they delivered me the wrong size. Oh well, it still works. After the ink is dry, I cut the flowers out, leaving a little border. I have no patience cutting it out neatly on the line. After I place the flowers where I want them, I stamp some of the flowers and the stems on the background. For the tall flower in the middle, I use both of the stems and connect them using my Pilot Permaball. I'm using Liquitex matte medium to glue the flowers down. I think I'm almost finished. Let's add a quote. First I write down the quote in grey lead pencil and then use my black Pilot Permaball and Sakura Pigma pen to trace and fill in the lines. adding some finishing touches with my white Uniball Signo pen. And I also have 2 more flowers I glued down underneath the quote to tie it all in. Okay, just a few more details using a white Posca pen. At the end of the video, you see in the close-ups I also added some highlights to the flowers on the right. Somehow I missed that. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it inspires you to get creative. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Until then, happy arting!